Alrighty, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to an anime story podcast. I'm the Big Bad Moon. I'm one of your hosts. Over here on the right is Hound 3D. She is your other host, and just below me is Bad Strategy. He's your other host. Hey, how you guys doing today?
I'm good. I'm swell. We're having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of curry though, so.
Oh.
Kids won their soccer game.
Woo!
It was
Soccer!
their last game of the season.
Yay! Yay!
Does soccer have seasons? I guess that makes sense.
They go into indoor, so you have to register them separately for indoor.
That's interesting. Indoor soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad.
But then they don't get like harsh weather experience.
That's true.
Yes, that is true.
It's okay.
Our harsh realities of life.
Well, hey, so this anime that we've watched over the last month is Konosuba.
Konosuba!
Konosuba.
Mandy, do it with me. Kono. No, you do the other half. I do one half. You do the other.
Oh, I thought we were doing it together.
Like
Sorry.
the breaks.
Like the breaks.
We need
okay,
one more
fine.
person though. We need so we can do Konosuba.
Yeah.
Well, he was going to do Kono, and he was trying to get me to do the other thing.
And I was left out.
Horribly. Yeah.
look bad. You're the host.
You are the host. The
Could have
other
picked
host.
it up, yo.
Great commercial breaks in that show. So,
I
Konosuba.
especially like the pause.
The pause, yeah, that was very charming. But before we get into the nitty gritty of the show, Hallen, thoughts on Konosuba? Did you watch the first season? It said first and second season, or
I watched the first.
the first season?
I didn't
Okay.
watch the second.
Okay.
I haven't seen the second.
Okay.
But you're welcome to talk about it.
Okay, that's fair. Spoilers are probably not like a big deal with
No.
Konosuba.
It's
Nothing
cute,
crazy.
though.
Spoiler: the protagonist dies.
That's not a spoiler.
Again?
He already died in the first
Wait,
episode.
How many times are we talking here?
Oh, dear.
Several.
Okay. But Hallen, thoughts on Konosuba?
I think it's a really fun anime.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like it was too campy.
Mm-hmm.
It always kept me going. Like, I was like, okay, like, there are parts that are a little out there, which are kind of fun. Like, it's kind of like, okay, we have, like, this otherworldly stuff going on, and then we're totally going to talk about how perverted the night is. Or, like, you're like, oh, okay. Like, but it never gets so insane that it doesn't make sense. Okay. And I really like that. Because a lot of times with animes like that, they can go off into the realm of nothing makes sense and there's no character build, and you're like,
I agree with that.
okay.
I agree. We could have very easily pushed it that far.
So if you didn't watch Konosuba, you don't know what it's about. Basically, the plot of Konosuba is there's this guy. He's this young guy. What do you think? He's like 18-ish.
Yeah.
Something like that. He's living in Japan.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he dropped out of school, or maybe he was going to school part of that.
Maybe he was like going to college or
like
something.
part-time,
Maybe
but he's
high
like
school.
stayed home a lot, and he played video
It's like
games. And
young adultish.
yeah, kind of
Yeah.
like the classic, 18-year-old that's not really going anywhere with their life because they just got out of school and they're
Shut in
doing
neat.
whatever. Yeah, shut in neat. A neat is a. Is this an anime
Although
term?
he doesn't want to
You
be
just
called
know
neat.
it's not an anime term.
Because it's the first time I've ever heard this term neat, which is like that person, right?
It's been in a lot.
Finding the definition of the word neat.
But
It's not the right
it's a shut-in
acronym.
person.
Is it an initialism or
Neat.
an acronym
It's
rather?
an acronym.
It is an acronym.
No education experience or training, Sam says.
No education, experience, or training. Okay, yeah. So that was new to me. I didn't. I've never heard that before.
They can't help society in the Japanese view because they can't go get a job.
That's fair. Okay, so there's this kid. he's a NEET. He's doing that.
It's NEET.
And he dies. He gets hit by a golf cart or something silly, but he dies.
A tractor.
Yep. And then he is taken into the heaven or something like that.
He tries to save a girl.
He did. He tries to save a girl.
Dies, and you're out of the way of a tractor.
Yeah, and I think he finds out that if he hadn't tried to push her out of the tractor, she would have been fine, and he would have been fine too.
Even when he pushed her out of the way, he was fine.
Oh yeah.
He died of shock.
Yeah, he died of shock or something. Yeah, it was very sad. It was like the most pathetic thing that they could think of. Yeah. But so when he goes to the afterlife, there's this goddess there, and basically she says, "Well, Agua, yes, Aqua." She says, "So there's this thing that we can do for you instead of moving on to the next life or whatever, or instead of being reborn. What you can do is there's this other world where there's like a horrible demon lord guy who's destroying things and being evil, and nobody from that world wants to reincarnate. So if you want, we can reincarnate you there with all of your memories, and you can be an adventurer in this new life.
Like a special rewards program.
Yeah.
What is that?
To incentivize the reincarnating into that world.
All your memories, and you get to pick a special thing.
Right. Exactly. And so he ends up deciding to do it, but he says that the special thing that he wants to take with him is the goddess. So she ends up having to go with him, which is funny because she's quite a funny character. And now, so he's in this.
That's not allowed.
Yeah, he's in this fantasy world now, and it is obviously he's just because he obviously goes in this idea of being he's going to be a great adventurer and do this and that, but he's actually like this kind of scrawny 18-year-old kid with no skills. And so he just ends up working a lot and trying to make money.
He has extreme luck.
He does. He does have extreme luck.
Let me just say they have I love the montage for when they get their first assignment as adventurers, and it's just day labor, stacking bricks and things.
Yep.
Beautiful montage.
Yep.
Beautiful.
But
over and over and over again.
And so in relatively short order, what happens is the character runs into. So he has the goddess there. And he has the goddess Agua with him, and he runs into these two other women who are adventurers, and one of them is I think a younger girl who. And if you play video games, you get her shtick is she is a super min-maxy person. So she has basically dumped all of her experience and all of her magic ability into a single spell that is called Explosion. And that's
wonderfully
pretty self-explanatory.
In the sub, she says explosion.
Yeah.
Every time she casts it.
The actual spell that she casts is she shouts explosion. Explosion.
Awesome.
And then things explode. So there's that character.
And then she can't move.
And then she can't move because she's out of energy. She just
There's also a delightful cut where Konosuba's in a dungeon, and it cuts back to her outside because she didn't go in. And she's practicing making up dramatic, edgy chants before her spell.
So and then there is the other character. So that explosion character is what is her name again? I can't remember.
Megumin.
Megumin
is the
Megumin is the explosion character, and then Darkness is a crusader. Well, I don't get it.
She's pointing to the wall behind her.
Oh, I see. You have a poster behind you of Konosuba.
This character.
Yeah. So then, so Darkness is the third female in the party, and she is a crusader, and her shtick is that she's she's a crusader character, so she's protect the innocent and be a good person and be valiant and all that.
In a video game, she would be the tank.
In the video game, she'd be the tank. Yeah, she takes a lot of damage. And so the shtick of her character,
and she's
the shtick of Darkness is that she is a really severe masochist, in a very technical way. Like she is aroused by the idea and act of being like experiencing pain. And of course she is a crusader that gets beat up a lot because of that.
And yet has no experience.
And fits perfectly.
And she's also got no experience. She's like a pure person, but it's very funny.
And
That's
she
like,
fits perfectly as a tank because she can't hit anything with her sword.
Oh yeah, she also can't hit anything, which is funny.
So
she hits everything beside it.
Yes.
So she's like,
yeah, and so then we have that's the group, the goddess she's very kind of narcissistic, and so she's always like, I am a goddess. And
she drinks too much.
She drinks way too much. She's like a super alcoholic.
She spends all of her money.
Yeah, she spends all of her money and other people's money.
She's horribly unlucky.
Yeah, that's also true.
I mean,
yeah, and
I don't think that's the only thing that there is.
So
really unlucky.
I wouldn't say that's the only reason for her bad fate.
That's
so
fair.
That's the group. So, and I think it all gets established in the first 2 or maybe 3 episodes. The whole group is together.
It's pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
I think
which is good.
Second episode is Megumin, and third episode is Darkness.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right.
And so then the goal is they have to go and defeat the Demon King or whatever, but obviously that's pretty far away because they like don't have any experience or money or any belongings, and they, I think for the first like half of the first season, maybe more than that, they sleep in a barn. They sleep in like a stalls with some other animals.
It isn't until like episode 9 or 10 they actually get a house.
Right. Yeah. So, it's a really great. I think it's a really, the characters have a really great dynamic. That's the plot. It's a little bit slice of lifey, not really slice of lifey, but there's some slice of life elements in there because they're never really going after the big bad. They're kind of just trying to survive, and they're broke all the time.
I think the slice of life kind of feel works very well with the satire that they're doing, like the idea that they would get to this alternate like fantasy universe, and it would be kind of like an everyday life thing.
Yeah, no, and that's probably one of the things that makes it feel a little bit slice of life to me, is that, you know, that's the parody of it, is it's this big adventure, you know, it's this fantasy, and there's a demon king, and they're doing day labor because they need to eat. Yeah, and they can't afford rent. So it's that I find. So my overall feelings on it are great premise. Or let me rephrase that. It is a fascinating premise that is well constructed structurally and is written well. The premise is actually kind of weird, as we've just explained. But it's constructed in a very intentional way. All the characters are, I think they work really well together. And I think as a satirical thing of the, you know, this fantasy story, it works really well because of the how mundane their normal existence is. And of course, crazy things happen. There's, you know, they're demon generals, and, you know, it's still an adventure story.
Succubus and
succubus. Yeah, that's a good one.
There's also very, very good sound design and visual design, because a lot of the tonal shifts are they like have a music specific to the character when they're doing their thing, and so when they need to do a very rapid tonal shift, for as one does in comedy, they do the music and they do some good sound design. Like, I think they have good sound effects when at one point a frog bites someone and it holds them up, shakes them back and forth.
That was funny. That was good.
That was hilarious.
There's a lot of great physical humor. There's a lot of really good humor. I think that's one of the major strengths of the show. If I were to come up with a really, a really important strength of the show, is I would say, genuinely speaking, there's some really solid humor in the show, and I think a lot of the humor, and I think it's a product of the way it was written, or the way they've set up the characters. The characters have a specific shtick each one of
It
them.
didn't feel too gimmicky. Like
No.
it stuck to true to itself, which I really appreciated.
No, absolutely. And that's, I think, that carries through with the characters being like, this is their shtick, this is how they are. And the really good humor, or a lot of the really good humor, it's the, is a character humor. It's the humor that something happens and it's funny. And it's funny because, of course, that character would do that. Like, every time Agua tries to kill, there's another side character. Will, is it?
Oh no, I know you. Wiz.
Wiz, that was it. Wiz, who is
yeah.
a lich or some kind of.
She's a lich.
She's a lich. So she summons undead and stuff. She's not actually. She's a lich in the universe. She's not.
Let me just complain for a moment.
Okay.
It is so unfortunate that they had to cut the whatever they wrote to introduce her. They had to cut that because the episode she appears, they just do a quick cut back to
something.
We met her once and now we know her.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate introduction because
they definitely had more. They just
was rushed.
Yeah,
I think they didn't have room for it.
Yeah, they just didn't have the time, the TV time for it. I don't know. Yeah, it was unfortunate the way they introduced her, but she was a good character, and I think if that had been an episode, it probably would have been pretty funny. But like Agua, she's a goddess. She banishes undead, and so she is very frequently trying to kill Wiz, or also banish Wiz because she's undead, and it's funny a bunch of times because it's of course she would do that. She's completely self-involved. She hates undead things. She's incredibly
also
narcissistic and not unwilling to have complex dialogue about it. She's just no, don't kill Wiz. Stop that.
I love the gag with Aqua where she's like, I need money to pay back my loans. I thought I would get paid, and camera pans to the door, and there are two thugs there, and one's a big beefy one, the other's a scrawny guy licking his knife.
That's
good.
Spot on.
When she tries to destroy the demon guy, and she floods an entire town and destroys the wall. And...
overkill. Super overkill, yeah. And this is I think that's great. I think the character humor, I think character-based humor is the best humor. Gags, just like jokes, generally are not funny unless they involve character humor. Or they're not very funny. They might be funny once, very slightly funny. Maybe there's a really funny gag out there, but most jokes or most gags in a show, I think they're usually, if they're good, it's usually because they involve the character being the character.
I will say I do think that's a weakness in the second half of the second season. So I think they really figure out what they're doing at the start of the second season, and they really have a clear vision, and it's a lot. I think the quality goes up a lot.
That's cool.
But I think the second half of the second season starts to drag a bit because I think they lean too heavily on Darkness as a character.
I would agree.
And I think that the comedy of the show works well because there are 4 distinct characters and then all the extra side characters, and having all of them creates a good balance. But none of the characters are strong enough on their own to carry the show, and I think they lean too heavily on Darkness.
I do really feel like Megumin really dropped off the planet in the second season. She just didn't do anything.
I will say in the first season, I was excited when they had some character building, and they had the bonding between Konosuba and Megumin, and then they just turned away from that, and they were let's focus on other characters.
Yeah.
No, pursue down Megumin.
Yeah.
She's the best character. She brings explosions.
She's a great, no, it's and it was really good. It was really good until, her character is really good until they just stopped doing stuff with her.
Yeah, she really did.
She had a couple of little things that happened in the second season. Important things.
Did they introduce her nemesis in the first season?
Her nemesis was floating around in the second season.
Yeah.
But I feel like it didn't really affect the show. Her rival.
Yeah.
Her
rival,
it was kind of really rival.
Yeah, it was kind of a backgroundy thing.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
when the first they introduced her, and then I don't
And
know
that's-
about
Then she got
the
a-
That's
Did
like,
weird.
I will also say it's a very common thing with comedies, like Blazing Saddles,
Mm-hmm.
friggin' hilarious movie. I love that
Oh
movie.
yeah, it's wonderful.
If I go back and watch that movie, I'm gonna be like, actually, the story's not very interesting. The gags are like, they're even entire like fairly long segments of it that I'm like, nothing funny actually happened here. But I remember it very fondly because like the occasional like really funny jokes are like, God, I love comedies.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Konosuba. I feel like Konosuba has the same thing where they don't build or push the characters as much as they really should, but it still comes
Right.
off as a really enjoyable experience because
Right.
the atmosphere is good and because it's a comedy. And
Yeah, and it's because it's driven by the characters, and a lot of the things the characters. One thing I'll say for the plot of the plots of Konosuba is that it is very slice of life, especially in the second season, beginning of the second season, because then it starts becoming like, okay, there he has a court battle he has to win, and then there's okay, let's go to the spa or whatever, let's go to the spa town, so there's a it's a definitive plot, and they're getting there, and there's kind of weird obstacles in the way, but there's a thing that they're trying to do. It's not like certain shows, or like a poorly written show might just have the characters bopping around and doing different things every single episode. Whereas in something that happens in Konosuba is they'll have a relatively mundane thing that they're doing, like going to the hot springs, and then that takes 5 or 6 episodes, and weird stuff happens, and they have character humor. But they're doing something. They're not just like doing nothing. Which is a thing that will, I think, stagnate the hell out of a show and just make it super uninteresting.
Well, it would stagnate any kind of action when you talk about acting, because not doing something means that you're not involved, you're not in the moment.
Right.
I will also say, the season 2 intro for Konosuba might be one of my favorite anime intros because it's basically the intro is designed to be it's effectively an episode. It's effectively like a quest that they do, but it's because it's all in the condensed form of an intro. It's all visual storytelling,
right?
And that is such a good way to do like world building, to be like, to show that the characters are going on adventures and doing things between episodes that you don't see.
Yeah.
And to do that in the form of an intro,
I will say,
solid.
I do think the intro to the second season is a little bit long.
Fair.
They can shorten it up a little bit, but I agree with what you're saying. I think
it's
a great
also
intro.
extra long the first time it's showed.
Yeah, that's fair.
They shorten it a little
long.
after that.
Okay.
I will also say, I like the outros. Most anime, I don't
Oh, yeah.
even I don't even
No, I
care about the
agree.
outros.
Yeah. No, the outros are actually not that bad.
You
Like-
can actually listen to them and be like, this is cool. Yeah.
And I think it's a solid like design choice to end on that kind of note, because the outro is like, it's like a kids sing-songy thing going on.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that setting that as the like the way people remember the show as they're leaving it is good for like thematic building, and they do a good job of setting up this of setting the tone. It's a good tone setting, and like that is so important for a comedy, and it helps me remember Konosuba as being this like lighthearted, fun romp.
So something I was just thinking about is the way that the show is set up. We were talking about outros and intros and beginning and end and stuff, and this is what got me on this. The way that Konosuba, the first season, is set up. Something that I was thinking near the end of, or at the end of the last episode of the first season, where they basically a giant robot attacks the city, and they have to, it's like a giant spider robot mechanical old magic thing, and they have to destroy it, and then it's about to explode and destroy the town, and so then they transport it magically somewhere else, and he says random place, and so it transports it to a random place. This is a thing I've thought about. This is, it just so happens that the magical exploding thing goes to like some governor's mansion and blows it up or something like that.
Yeah.
And so this is why at the end of the first season, a bunch of guards come and say, "Hey, Konosuba, you're under arrest for doing this," and that's how we cliffhanger for the second season. I kind of feel like, and I don't know what their contracts look like and this and that, but I kind of feel like during that episode, I was thinking, oh, it's gonna go blow up the Demon King. Like that'd be perfect.
That'd be perfect.
And I almost wonder if they did that in such a way that, and I don't know how this, the
if they were like, we might actually get a second season.
Oh, we got a second season. What do we do? Because the second season, let me tell you about the second season. They have a little quick court battle, I think, for like maybe 2 episodes or 1 episode.
So I might have started watching it when it came out.
Very
didn't
simple.
Make it back around.
They do some random stuff around town, and then they decide they're going to go to hot springs, and that's
which is also funny because the hot spring episode in most anime is the like, we're gonna take a break from the show. We get that it's been a little intense, so we're just gonna have like a breaky hot spring episode so the audience can cool off.
Right. So
it's
nothing
kind of weird in Konosuba.
But nothing big or crazy happens in the second season. It's just like, I mean, they are still doing stuff and they still have things that are going on, and that's good. They also do a dungeon. They go into a dungeon. Is that the first season? The dungeon thing?
Oh.
Or is that the second season?
Second season. I think it's second season.
Dungeon thing is the first half, and second half is the spa. Stuff's happening the whole time. But it's funny. It almost makes me feel like at the end of the first season, they were wondering if they were going to... Oh, God, I don't have a cat.
Actually, yeah, that's what
I feel so left
man?
out.
This is an anime podcast. You don't have a cat?
I don't. I could go steal my roommate's cat.
Our cats look similar too.
This cat will be like, "What are you doing? Who the hell are you?" I have a black cat, so I feel left out.
Why are you doing this?
Oh, also, Megumin's cat in the second season. Good artwork. Good, like, chibi-looking, adorable cat.
Oh, Midnight. He's so cute. That was a... Oh. What an adorable animal. Yeah. All right, fine. You guys just be that way. I don't care. I don't need a cat.
Rub your chin.
I'm completely happy here with my pencil sharpener. Your cat's not very useful. Poops everywhere. Throws up on stuff. My pencil sharpener has never once thrown up on my bed sheets.
Yeah,
Look,
my cats
that is a healthy part of the cat life cycle. That's how you know they're doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then you have to clean it up.
And that they love you.
Yeah, that's how they show you that they love you. They vomit on you while you're sleeping.
I mean...
I've never had that happen.
No, I think there's something wrong.
Well, the last time it happened, I woke up, I had my towel in reach, so I grabbed my towel, slid it under the cat, went back to sleep.
When the cat was like going...
Yeah, it was actually very convenient.
I'm not getting up for this.
Sleep with a towel.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so... I think that was interesting. I think this was an interesting thing. I almost felt like if they hadn't realized they were not going to get a second season, which is entirely reasonable. It's a very weird show. I would probably not expect a second season either. Then hey, that'd be a perfect he accidentally killed the Demon King.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Boom. Great. But it got a second season. I think, is it going to get a third season? I assume it will.
I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
I think I read it didn't.
Dang. I enjoyed it.
I'm not 100% sure on that though.
It was fun. It's enjoyable.
Yeah.
I would not recommend it to people without anime experience.
No, I don't think so.
I also would not, under normal circumstances, watch it with another person. especially like during the succubus episode. I'm like, I feel a little uncomfortable.
That was a little awkward. That was a little bit awkward.
That was great. I like how he's all firm too. He's like, "You will wash my back." And she's like, "What is going on? Why?"
Oh, that was such a great episode. Oh, so this is a.
Although, unless you're comfortable with another person, you probably shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's true. If you're uncomfortable with the person you're watching
Look,
it with, just
I'm uncomfortable watching that episode alone, so
my cat's here, man.
my cat.
I can't look him in the eye anymore.
His eyes.
Cover his eyes.
But okay, so I think
Music was great. Artistically, I think
Music's
they
great.
did a really smooth job transitioning between scenes. I liked the artwork. I thought they did a really nice job with the lines that they made and the characters and make the expressions pop and everything. Yeah.
I have
They
one.
have some.
Go ahead now.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, fine. I will. So, something I will say, and I'm gonna say this pretty. I don't know if I want to say it for myself definitively. I guess is for this particular show, it moves at a relatively reasonable pace. It's not super quick. It's not super slow. I would recommend watching, and again, this is not showing it to somebody who is new to anime because that's a bad idea. Especially if they're not comfortable with like weird things, they will not like the show. It will make them very uncomfortable. But I would recommend watching the sub and not the dub, because I think the dub's
off. It's just off.
I think the problem with the dub is that it was miscast. I don't think the actors who play the characters fit the characters. I think that the Japanese actors do a great job and they fit and it works.
I agree with that.
The main character guy is the big one.
I agree with that. I will also say I think that some of the lines, the voice actors just flub some of the lines.
Yeah.
It's every once in a while a line comes through and I'm like, what was the voice actor going for with that? Because that didn't land properly. Some of them work though. Like
some of it works.
It's just it's like they're miscast and they flub some of the lines, so you just end up going through with a feeling of like, I guess the voice acting is okay, but it feels wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
The sub sounds great. Also, the explosion magic so much better in the sub.
Totally worth it to hear
Megumin
go explosion. That's great.
Well, when he says soccer. So like when they play with the Lord's head, he's like, soccer! And everybody's like, what's soccer? And he's like, kick it with your feet. And he's like, soccer! And they all start screaming soccer in English. And it's hilarious.
Right. There's some jokes that don't actually land unless it's subbed. So I would say that. Watch it subbed. It's not super fast. It's also not super dramatic. There's not lots of like, oh, there's a cat on you. I would say watch it subbed. I think it's worth it. I think it's a more enjoyable. Again, not that it's not enjoyable dubbed, but I think it's more enjoyable subbed. Are you whacking your cat?
So,
people get
something I think
for that.
is great that they do a few times in the show is callback jokes, because callback jokes are just wonderful because the writer has to set them up. Like you have to
jokes.
set something up like a season in advance or several episodes in advance to pull off a callback joke. And I think they have a few. One of them is like is at the end when all the people are like deciding like, no, we need to protect the town, and they're all remembering why they value the town. They all like have coupons to the succubus place in the town. They're like, oh, that's done for me. So it's a good callback to the.
Yeah, no, callback jokes are great. Not commonly done enough. Did I lose both of you guys?
You are a robot.
Hang on, my internet is doing a weird thing, which is unfortunate because I am the one that's hosting this. Oh. All right, let me see.
I think we're clear.
I think we're clear. We're in the clear. We're in the pipe. 5, 5, 5. Or 5 by 5.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, no, again. Oh. I wonder how it is on Twitch. I think I seem to be coming through nice and clear. So I suppose this is the Big Bad Moon Show now. I enjoyed the anime. Konosuba, I think, was wonderful. It was a show that I think... Uh-oh. Got it back?
Robot.
Okay,
Hello.
welcome back. I was just saying, I think Konosuba is a show that when we started watching it, when we were like 2 episodes in, my thought was, I'm going to not like this show. Not that it was bad, but it was a show that I was like, this is going to be so ridiculous.
Sam actually commented about that. He was like,
he?
man, if you showed this to him at the beginning when you guys started watching anime, I don't know if Jake would have liked it.
That's funny.
That was funny.
Yeah.
Kono-
So it's a fun one. It's a fun one, and it is it's one that give it 3 or 4 episodes.
Konosuba is, I think the setting the tone is so critical for the type of show it is, and I just remember it for that like fun, lighthearted fantasy romp kind of like. It's just pleasant memories.
Oh yeah,
it's just
definitely.
like solid.
Yeah, it does. It feels very homey as a show. But yeah, no, I think we were saying the animation is really good. I think the intro to the 2nd season. You should watch the intro to the 2nd season, Helen. It's a really solid.
I
very
watched
fun.
it. I just forgot I had watched some of it because I watched the whole trial and everything. I hadn't rewatched it.
No, yeah,
so
for sure.
The more you were talking, I was like, oh yeah, we did keep up with it as it was premiering, and then I think I stopped watching it about midway. So I don't know the transition.
That's about midway. I think they just lean on darkness too heavily, and she's not strong.
Yeah.
None of the characters are fleshed out enough to carry the show alone. So them leaning on darkness ends up being weakening.
I get that though, because I think some of the darkness jokes were really funny. I think darkness definitely had some of the funniest jokes. Some of my
so
ridiculous.
One of my favorite things was people misinterpreting Darkness's actions as being like noble.
Right? Yeah, no.
Like, oh god, that was a great joke, because in any other anime, they'd have the thing where the one character's like, I'm gonna help, and then they try to help and they hurt the person because the person has to like stop them to protect them. And they do that with Darkness, but of course Darkness is just doing it because she's a masochist, and the person's like, no, I tried to help, but I only got in the way.
Oh, you shredded me. Oh, the dignity. Oh, you just keep cutting on my armor and cutting off my clothes.
Yeah, I think my favorite gag in the whole show is the one with the one with the demon general when they're fighting him at the end, and she's fighting the demon general. She's saying, "What? I don't care what kind of horrible things you're gonna do to me when you capture me." And he's like,
talking
I'm not gonna do that.
Stop.
You take me back to your dungeon and do this and that. And he's like, don't say that. People are gonna get the wrong idea about me. It's like the demon. That was such a good gag.
He's like, stop! God. No, you're the perverted one. Like, stop it.
I do think they had a writing flub. They maybe they had a different writer for one of the episodes.
Okay.
That was one of the jokes they did was it was with Wiz. Wiz was talking about when she was working with the demon generals, and they made a joke about the like Dark Knight guy dropping his head so he could see up her skirt.
Yeah, that was
and it was
weird.
like, that didn't actually fit, because the character of the Dark Knight is the opposite of that.
I remember when that came up, and I thought that was kind of a weird gag to make.
Yeah, it felt very out of place, because I like they solidly
trying to do that at all.
Yeah, they solidly established his character as being like, I'm a Dark Knight, but I still have honor and nobility and all this stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And he wanted nothing to do with darkness. He was like, no, we didn't go there.
Yeah.
We didn't go.
No, and that's when he has
a really good what?
No, yeah, when they first start fighting, she's gonna take me back to your dungeon to do horrible things. And he goes, what? What? And like it's a thing that had not even occurred to him. He's like, wait, we're gonna do what? No, that was a real Some of the best humor in the show, I think, had to do with Darkness's character, and I think it's because it's ridiculous and over the top. The explosion magic, maybe it's a little bit harder to write for.
I will say, montages in the show very solid with explosion magic, with Konosuba and Mega Man going on the daily.
That was really good.
So, like the montages of them going and them like starting to skip together and like sing as they went. Gold. Yeah,
that was
Love it.
It was really good.
I love when he comes back and he's like, "Wait, she can't move. So how could she have been exploding your thing?" And then Aqua's like,
yeah. So, I think probably maybe it was a little bit harder to write for Mega Man later in the show, just because. Yeah, maybe that's why she wasn't featured as prominently. I think they should have found a way because I think it would have benefited. I also really don't know if they went too deeply into Agua. Like, I also within the relationship between her and the main character.
I think Mega Man is she's a relaxed enough person, and she's a character that they could take the show into a more serious place with, I think. Because absolutely. She's not like Darkness is more ridiculous more often. Yeah. Mega Man's more like whatever the appropriate word is. And so I was they could definitely have developed her more and done a lot with her.
No, I absolutely agree, and I think that a character like Mega Man, I don't think they could have taken it to a super serious place with Darkness, because it
would have been more difficult.
It would have been a lot more difficult. She's just not a very serious character. She's, Mega Man, I think, could be a much more serious character. Agua, I think she's kind of right in the middle. It's a pretty good balance. She could be serious. She can be ridiculous. She drinks a lot. Right. And I think, of course, the main character is the character.
Well, and I kind of got the feeling they were headed that direction with Mega Man.
Yeah.
Just because, the rivalry that she had, I felt like that could have gone way deeper.
Right.
And I feel like we just brushed the surface of that and didn't get enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what, and again, I don't know if maybe, I guess I don't know if they're getting another season. Did we decide that they're not, or did we see that they're?
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. I think. Well, so it's the kind of show. I think it's really relatively well balanced. The second season was not for what it is. It's great. As for carrying on into a third season, not a lot happened. Not a lot that. They didn't really do anything with the Demon King. Yeah. They didn't really move too far forward. They kind of had a few wacky adventures, and I think the main character got a little more powerful. But I don't think nothing crazy happened.
The second half of the second season is basically one long hot spring
going to
episode.
The hot springs, right.
Their goal is the hot spring, which is normally the break from the story in most anime.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that that's. I would really like to see what they do if they had a third season, because I think they could do a lot of really great stuff. And I think that this kind of humor, the kind of humor it is, I think it can work in a story, and I think they could have taken it to a really serious place. And I think the thing that the show that comes to mind with this kind of humor and with going to a really serious place that's really meaningful is Kill la Kill. Because Kill la Kill is so over the top and so ridiculous and so good. It's at the end of the Kill la Kill, I legitimately was crying. It was so sad. I love that show, and it's absolutely bonkers. Describing the plot of Kill la Kill to people, it's like, wait, okay, so they're naked people, they're nudists, and they're fighting the fascist school government, and the main character is a superpowered girl, or not a girl with a superpowered school uniform that makes her scantily clad. It's absurd, and it's a great show. It's very serious,
very well done.
Kill la Kill, best opener of any anime.
So good.
Opening episode in Kill la Kill is pretty legendary. That is a great.
Not even the full episode, just the first 2 or 3 minutes that they pull as the hook.
Opening,
really
the
solid.
opening
hook.
I can't remember the name.
Pre-credits.
Is it the teaser? Maybe
also,
it's the
yeah. I haven't heard your word in the last 3 episodes. Bad.
Verisimilitude.
Uh-huh.
Did anything?
I think.
I've heard it in my daily life. I have not heard it from you. I'm like, wait a minute. He hasn't been saying that. So every week I've been thinking that.
It's funny because Konosuba is very much like taking the ridiculous like otherworld setting and being like, what if we satired this and like made it a bit more practical and increased the verisimilitude? But I would say specifically because of Konosuba being the kind of satire it is, probably you will enjoy it more if you've watched a lot of Otherworld anime. And it's definitely, if you are watching Otherworld anime, it is a great break from that. To be like, this
I would agree.
To a satire of it.
Yeah, it's probably a really good break from a lot of Otherworld anime.
If maybe last
Sword Art Online
or maybe last season if you watched, what was it, Rising of the Shield Hero.
I need a wall scroll for that one.
That time I was reincarnated as a slime.
That one's a good one.
I could name more. I won't.
Okay, so with 10 minutes left in the show, let's have some final thoughts on Konosuba as a show. We could also
take some time to discuss what we will be watching next month.
Yes, we could. That's why I'm going to do this at 10 minutes. I have a plan. So
my final thoughts were that it's really great for people who are experienced in anime, who are looking for some kind of a break. And it's fun, but it still has a good storyline, at least through the second half of the second season. I haven't seen the rest, so I can't comment on that. But I think it's really solid. I didn't watch the dub, as I so often do not. So it's kind of interesting to hear that the sub was better. I'm like, woohoo!
Yeah, especially because. Because I really want to watch the dub.
Yeah.
Like, because I really want it to be in the language that
you guys do.
Yeah.
And that's like coming from you. I'm like, ooh, it must have been pretty bad if they're saying it.
And to clarify, it's not horrible.
Okay.
I think that the sub is really good. And I think that the dub is just kind of miscast voice, or maybe misdirected voice-wise.
I think
it is
part
just
of the
more
issue,
enjoyable, and it goes slowly enough, and it's not like crazy, and it's fine. It works, and it's a better overall experience.
I think
and
part
I know
of
what you mean, because miscast, I felt like, or not miscast, but
Dr. Stone
was Dr. Stone. I love the voice actor who does Alphonse, because I did watch Full Metal Alchemist. And the Alphonse, like, he does Dr. Stone. He is that character, Senku. Senku? Is that right? Sounds right. But his voice in it doesn't resonate. It doesn't mix with the other characters.
Well, I think the issue is that if you were commissioning people to do a dub in another language, how are you going to check that they're doing a good job?
Yeah.
It's true.
Like, you have to hire someone else to check that the people that you hired, that someone else you already hired, are doing a good job. It's just it's just an awkward thing.
You better hope that person understands what good voice acting is.
Yeah, so there's
it's a hard game.
I feel like he did. He just I don't know if like the opportunity wasn't there, or the way
maybe the direction he got.
Yeah, it just didn't blend.
And so, this is a thing I think, like for instance in Cowboy Bebop, the dub for Cowboy Bebop, and I think it's pretty widely known that, or it's pretty widely accepted that the dub is for Western audiences, anyways, better than the sub, and that's just because the voice actors are super top quality. They do a great job, and I think a lot of intonation, a lot of just the way like Spike talks. I've seen clips with I've seen parts of the show in the sub, and they do a very classic kind of, Japanese inflection where there's a gag happening or something crazy is happening, and they'll go, oh, and they'll have this high kind of funny inflection. And Spike, that's not a thing. It doesn't fit with the character. It doesn't.
I would agree with that.
And in the dub, the voice acting of the dub, he might yell, but he's always has that like Spike voice. It sounds like he's yelling, but I think that just a lot of the tonal differences make it so the dub just works better for the tone of the show, for what the show is, for who the character is. And I just think in the sub of Konosuba, I think it's just a lot more spot on for who the characters are, and how the characters act. So I like the sub for Konosuba. Not that the actors are not good. Right. I just don't think it fit.
I think that they needed some better direction. I don't think the actor.
Yeah, I don't think the actors necessarily were bad. Yeah.
Well,
this is how I almost always feel about.
That's not being able to see the other people because sometimes they're shooting without the other people, so they never get to hear.
Yeah, they don't hear how it goes together.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that can cause a misdirect.
In live action movies, I often feel okay being like, that actor is terrible because they like deliver a line like a robot. But in a dub, I'm like, it could have just been they didn't get the direction they needed. It could have been that someone needed to be like, say it slightly differently, and they didn't get that.
Yeah, no, seriously, that is actually one of my biggest pet peeves in film, is when somebody delivers a line, and the line is obviously a joke, or it's obviously some kind of like a subtle jab at something or some kind of subtle something, and the actor doesn't get it, like they don't get what the line means, and the director didn't get what the line meant, and so they say the line and it doesn't, like they don't say it in a way that makes sense, or they don't say it in a way and so you're like, none of them got that. How did you let a line go when the director didn't get it and the actor didn't get it, and it just is said in a way that doesn't make sense? It's like, what? You just said it and hoped that it made sense? Oh. Yeah. Anyways, it's fine.
I'm with you. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. But okay, yeah. So I like the sub. Bad. Any final thoughts from you on Konosuba?
It's fun. It's lighthearted. It's a good time. It's a good break from the other world genre, which you get so much of. Don't probably watch it with other people unless they're like super anime people and you're very comfortable
with them.
Don't recommend it to people who aren't super anime people. Nope. I like it. It's fun.
Best girl.
It's light. The cat.
Oh, then no. Well, maybe. I was gonna say. Oh damn, the lich.
Wiz.
Wiz.
I thought about Wiz too.
I don't need to establish a waifu because the protagonist does that. He decides that the other goddess is waifu.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Perfect.
Ares, is her name Ares?
I think it's Ares.
Like
yeah.
Ares is waifu. Love it.
He's like, can I trade? Can I trade up?
But okay. Good show. Go watch it. If you've met those criteria that we've established. We may have lost Alan again.
No.
It's okay. It's happened a few times this episode. Oh, there you are.
All right. Next
month.
I have recommendations. I have a few recommendations.
All right, you want to go ahead and give them?
All right, you want me to pitch them or just give you the names?
Pitch them.
Just give us the names.
Okay. Give them the names.
I feel divided right now.
Names.
Copcraft, Kanata no Astra, Perfect Blue, it's an older one and it's a movie, and that other one made by the people who made Perfect Blue.
You're talking about Paprika.
Paprika! Yes. Not the spice, the movie.
The movie. I would actually be down to watch Paprika or
Perfect Blue.
Perfect Blue. Also, I love the name Perfect Blue. I think that's a wonderful name. That's my 2 cents on that.
Mandy, are you a robot, or would you like to tell us what you think?
I think she's been turned to stone.
No.
Can you help him? Can you help Doctor? Can you operate on a
Wait,
man
no. I
made of
watched Dr.
stone?
Stone. We need sulfuric
Oh, I can
acid,
hear you.
alcohol,
Yay, hi.
Hey, welcome
some
back.
stone birds to test on.
We already decided we're going to be watching all of the seasons of One Piece.
Oh no, fuck no. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! In 1 month? Yeah. No.
How many are there? There's like 903.
I don't know if numbers go that high.
It wouldn't be terrible.
I think there's 900.
Yeah, we're not gonna.
It wouldn't be terrible to do like the first so many episodes of One Piece.
We're
900
not going
episodes.
to watch One Piece.
Okay, thank you.
20 seasons. 20 seasons.
Only 20 seasons. Nice. Good.
20
800.
Not going to watch One Piece. Not because I have anything against One Piece. I
No,
don't got
but
that
it's
kind
so
of
many
time.
episodes. Oh my goodness.
Look,
I'm going to die at some point.
If we watched the first two like the first
2 to
the
11
first dozen
seasons.
episodes, if we watched the first dozen episodes of One Piece, I think by episode 5 or 6 they get all the characters together. We could legitimately review the start of One Piece.
Okay. Here's the problem.
It shouldn't be off the table altogether.
Here's the problem. I appreciate that. I don't think we could ever do One Piece, though, because I feel like if we tried to cover like the first part of One Piece, then it would not be fair to the remaining like 98% of One Piece, because it's just such a tiny portion of it. Nobody would be happy with it. You can't just review the first.
I got worn out like 300 episodes in at like 3 times speed, so I get that. Did you mute yourself? Are you quiet?
I was talking to Sam.
Did you fall down a well?
No.
What?
What? Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear him?
I can't hear Jake.
I can't hear him either. Yes.
Oh yeah.
What are we doing? What are we watching?
Sam was like, I couldn't decide.
Okay.
Have we watched No Game No Life?
We have not.
We've not watched that. My question. No Game, No Life. What is No Game, No Life?
It's like if you took Konosuba and you were like, what if you wanted to feel a little bit more uncomfortable?
Ooh.
And
It's like, I like curry, but that sounds a little spicy to me.
It's funny.
Like,
it's got some funny stuff. It's got the best chess match
what was
in
the show
anime.
that we were just talking about that I was thinking?
Paprika, Perfect Blue, Kanata no Astra, Craft.
Okay. I love the idea of either watching Perfect Blue or Paprika. Those are two shows that
I've seen Perfect
films.
Blue.
I've seen Perfect Blue as well.
I've seen Paprika.
I've not seen Paprika.
When I was overtired, and it was trippy as hell.
That sounds like it would be trippy as hell.
It did look like it'd be trippy.
Yeah.
It is trippy.
Well, and what's the other? Do we have any other contenders?
The No Game No Life. I really like No Game No Life. It's a more serious Konosuba. It's less. It's goofy.
They pursue the overarching story.
Yes.
Is
there
anyone
you
a
go.
masochist?
No.
Not really.
They have the best chess match in anime.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I'm good for any of those options. Why don't you two fight amongst yourself?
I've seen all 3, so is he. Except for Paprika, right? You haven't seen Paprika.
Can I be a tiebreaker?
Sure.
What?
I vote for One Piece. It's final.
No.
It's in. We're doing it.
That wasn't in the tie. Okay.
Fair.
How long? Actually, I would love to watch either Perfect Blue or Paprika because it is October, and I am doing Inktober, and I have so very little time as I work a lot.
That sounds good.
And I have a bunch of
Oh,
drawings
so it's
to do.
yeah. I see that.
That'd
I
be
get
great.
that.
Which one of those should we do? I think
Paprika.
the computer's in a crash. So
Paprika or perfect blue. Yeah, paprika.
Let's do paprika. I love it.
Paprika.
Okay. Paprika. Sounds good. Next time, we're going to be doing paprika. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a lovely night. Happy October. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye. Adios.